There are some countries that claim to be Muslims, so many people make hijrah to them. Is this hijrah? And he's calling from India. Al-hijrah, which means migration, could be mandatory if a person lives in a non-Muslim country where he or she is oppressed, cannot practice their religious duties, cannot declare their faith, and they have a chance to migrate to a Muslim land. The issue of a Muslim state or a Muslim country or Muslim land is relative. I don't want anyone to imagine that there is a Muslim country nowadays similar to that which was at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And when you travel to this country, you will find Al-Ansar waiting for you, cheering and receiving you and sharing their wealth with you. I don't think this is happening nowadays, but it's a relative matter. So to move to a Muslim country where at least I get to hear the adhan, learn the Quran, hang around good people, is of course better than living amongst people who disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oppose Islam and Muslims. They chase me because my wife is wearing hijab, or chase the ladies because they're wearing hijab, and they discriminate me. And sometimes I don't get to offer my prayers because I'm being oppressed. In this condition, the hijrah is a must. But if a person is living even in a non-Muslim country, his mission is to give da'wah to his family, to relatives, colleagues, and so on, and he is free to practice his religious duties, he's not being oppressed, then the hijrah in this case is voluntary, is recommended. It's not a must. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, in Surah An-Nisa, verse number 97, regarding those who are living in non-Muslim lands, where they are not free to practice their deen, they are being oppressed, they have to conceal their iman. إن الذين توفاهم الملائكة ظالمي أنفسهم قالوا فيما كنتم قالوا كنا مستضعفين في الأرض قالوا ألم تكن أرض الله واسعة فتهاجروا فيها فأولئك مأواهم جهنم وساءت مصيرا. At the time of death, for those who died in non-Muslim countries, the condition is they are not practicing their deen because they are afraid or being oppressed or discriminated against. The angels would ask them, فيما كنتم? What's the matter with you? Why weren't you practicing? They say, قالوا كنا مستضعفين في الأرض. We have been oppressed on earth. We could not do our deen or practice our religious duties because we have been oppressed. So they answer them, ألم تكن أرض الله واسعة فتهاجروا فيها? Allah's land is very spacious. Why didn't you do hijrah or make hijrah? In order to be able to practice your deen freely, as long as you have access. But if one is experiencing such conditions and does not have fun, nor have access, nor does he know what to do, in this condition Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is exempting them from the punishment by saying, إِلَّا الْمُسْتَضْعَفِينَ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ وَالنِّسَاءِ وَالْوِلْدَانِ لَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ حِيلَةً وَلَا يَهْتَدُونَ سَبِيلًا فَأُولَٰئِكَ عَسَى اللَّهُ أَن يَعْفُوَ عَنْهُمْ وَكَانَ اللَّهُ عَفُوًّا غَفُورًا. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, لا هجرة بعد الفتح ولكن جهاد ونية. There is no migration after the conquest of Mecca, but there is jihad for the sake of Allah, and there is sincere in your intention before doing anything. Some people misunderstood this hadith and said there is no more hijrah. That's not true. The hijrah which is ended at the time is the migration from Mecca to Medina. Because Mecca, after it was the home of disbelief, now it has become the center of belief on earth. So there is no sense to migrate from Mecca anymore to Al-Madinah or anywhere else. But Al-Hijrah will last until the Day of Judgment. Any person who is living in such conditions where he or she are unable to practice their religious duties and declare their faith are required to migrate to the Muslim land, even if it is not the best Islamic state which we long for.